Good afternoon. Ralph E. Hartman, write-in candidate for Congress, here in front of Gulfgate Library. Sitting around here, having my computer and generator plugged in, waiting for Hurricane Ian to veer off so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Yesterday, another detail occurred that I guess might have been important back in 1981 and 2 years after. I hadn't really thought about it before. I became aware of the matter some years ago, actually, but I never discussed it before now. What happened was that I didn't know about the old stain accusation malpractice, the rumoring that was going around. I knew something was happening, but I didn't know what the detail was. And it was really, like I've described before, so I won't mention it. But another detail was that in the month of October in Disney World, business was very slow, October of '81. And I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough money for my car payment, and so I got a temporary part-time job in the Steak and Ale of International Drive to get a little extra money to get me through the slow period. So I didn't like the job at all, but I was waiting on tables in the place, and most only end up with something like $20 anyway. But anyway, for the particular time, I was worried that I was going to end up not having enough for the payment, so I went ahead and accepted a job that I knew I wasn't going to like. So anyway, the day before Halloween, we were told that everyone had to show up on Halloween wearing a costume of some kind. Well, I didn't want to spend any money on any kind of costume. I was having a bit of difficulty about money, and so I thought, well, I don't know. I went to a store, and instead of spending anything on any costume, I got some face paint. And so, the cheapest that I could find, red, black, and white. And so I thought to myself the night before Halloween, what can you use red, black, and white for? So about all I could think of was kind of like a skull look, and I put a little bit of red trickling down the corner of one side of my mouth, and it looked fairly good for the kind of a paint job it was, but I really didn't like it. I'm not one who likes to scare anyone or anything like that, and after a while I went ahead and just washed it off. So instead of going to work the next day having to wear anything of a costume or the face paint, I just quit, because like I said, I didn't like the job anyway. So anyway, I noticed how many years passed, maybe about 10 years ago, that a detail about that particular area of International Drive, where the Steak and Ale had been, is that it was renamed Ronald Reagan Parkway or Ronald Reagan Expressway. Anyway, I think the detail is relevant. That was in October of '81 that I mentioned, the night before Halloween. So anyway, although I washed the paint off, somebody used an Instamatic camera and took one picture of me with the paint on. And so my understanding is that the particular photograph was used along, after I moved away from Orlando, it was used along with the malpractice rumoring to try to brand me as if somebody would want to go around with some kind of death mask on. And if they linked the red paint to the accusation as though I was, like wordlessly telling them something, or agreeing about it or something. And I guess it was even circulated to the Navy. A man who took the photograph had been in the Navy also, and my understanding is that he went back into the service a couple or a few years after I moved away from Orlando and near the end of '82. So anyway, my understanding is that, like I said, that the photo had been used along with a smear campaign, even though all I did was wash it off, And so, oh yeah, the year before, when business was slow in October, I was looking through the classified ads in the Orlando Sentinel, and they had a job offering a part-time job in a movie studio for an extra. So anyway, the only application was to just send a photograph and a return address. So I sent them a picture that was with myself and my little sister. I didn't make any special picture. I just had a black and white from Christmas and maybe a year or two before. And so I went ahead and sent it. So what happened was, as I was working in the Polynesian Village Hotel one night, I started to notice a movie camera man putting his camera towards me with a lady who was taking notes, seated to a table, noting. And I guess what happened was that I was being considered in some way back in October, November of '80. But really, all I thought was maybe I'd get an extra job of being in the background or in a crowd scene or something like that, just to make maybe a few $100 extra. So anyway, I didn't think that much about it. But years after, because others were really egotistical, it turns out to be that the photo of me just briefly wearing black, red, and white face paint was really used derogatorily, and they used it to spread, along with bad rumoring, to make some ladies who might have considered me favorably think differently, instead. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention it. Really, I'm a good guy. I've never even hurt anyone, and I wouldn't have really, I've never, since I was a kid, I've never worn any kind of a Halloween costume. It was the only time in my life. It was a work requirement, and I decided to just wash off the paint and wasn't out anywhere. Just in a house where I shared the VA home loan to fix up a place and then sell it to make some extra money after a year. So anyway, I was only being normal back then. I never thought of doing anything with any other men about the smear campaign and about the face paint. All I did was wash it off, and I still haven't done anything to hurt anyone. Have a good evening. I hope everyone's going to be safe about the hurricane. Maybe it'll veer off and fizzle out in the Gulf somewhere. Have a good evening. Thank you.